Hey, what's up, my beautiful people? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Let me go to this. Man, I don't know how to work this OBS stuff, man. Okay, I'm just gonna do this right here. Bam. Bam. How y'all boys doing? I hope everybody's doing good. I know y'all see the new quality now. I told y'all I was gonna upgrade for y'all. I told y'all I was gonna upgrade for y'all. I was not playing. No deal. Let me make sure everything's running right. Man, that's some good quality. All right, so today we're gonna be going over. So I didn't trade today, so it's not really a recap. We're just gonna be going over what I'm looking at going into tomorrow. We're gonna be looking at what happened in the market today, why what happened in the market today, and then ultimately what we're gonna be looking at going into tomorrow, so we can trade tomorrow. Okay. Remember, we don't gotta trade every day. If we don't see a setup we don't like, or if we miss the move, don't FOMO in. Follow your disciplines because you live to fight another day, right? You, I rather protect my capital by not trading if I don't see a setup than FOMOing in and then losing a trade and not sticking to my disciplines. You see what I'm saying? So I rather lose a trade by following my disciplines than lose a trade and not follow my disciplines. Okay, so ultimately I don't want to FOMO in and take a trade that I didn't feel confident in because it didn't follow my strategy, and then if I lose, I'm gonna be 10 times more angry because I knew I shouldn't have done what I did. You see what I'm saying? But if I take a trade and I see price create the trend and react off of my fair value gap and give me a good wick, and I feel like it was a safe entry, we reacted off of support. I got in my trend, my fair value gap, or my order blocks, and I got in at a good place, and price just didn't go my way. You can't be mad at that, right? Because ultimately you stuck to your strategy, right? And so let's see what we had coming into the market. So in the market, in the pre-market, before the day actually started, I actually had marked out what I wanted to see. Okay, so actually, let me pull up a separate screen. God dang it! Jesus Christ, I can't type now. All right, I should have had this pulled up for y'all already. Sorry about that. Let me go to my channel, go to my post so we can see what I'm talking about. So I can just pull this up real quick. Okay. So coming into the market, I seen we were already at our 495 level. We were already at this area of resistance. You can see because this is where, excuse me, we were already at a support because as you see, we had this bounce, right? As you can see in this picture, we can see this is where we had a huge bounce at, breaking structures, right? And so in the market, what did I say? I said, are we getting a bounce off support or breakthrough and test for resistance? Let's see. Okay. And ultimately that was the next one. So let's go and see what did we have, right? So we had our 495 level. Mark that. Where was it? Because I deleted it actually. It was actually, oh yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, right here. 495, 494, right around there. Why? Because this is where we could see we had these buyers that defended it. Then ultimately I have a 490 area of support. Why? Because it's another area where we have these wicks at. And then further on down, I have another wick I have another candle that actually shot up and buyers defended this area. So this is where I have another wick at. And then ultimately I have another wick. Why right here at the support? Because we don't see buyers bounce off of it. Well, actually we do have one big candle that actually just shot through it. But ultimately this is the area of support. Why? Because this was the area of resistance. You can see, right? Where sellers came up, got bounced down, came back up, got bounced down before actually breaking through it. So this is actually another strong key level, right? And so let me go down to my smaller time frame to see what price did to open up the markets. Okay, so to open up the markets, what did we do? We actually dropped it down even past that 495 level that I was talking about. But that's fine. Why? Because we had this other area of support, right? So what did I want to see? I wanted to see price come up and test this area before creating the downtrend, or I just wanted to see price open up and come down and touch this area and give me a reaction, right? Just to see. Let me come down to this 1 minute. There we go. So I wanted to see price come up and test this area, and then reversing my trend, or I wanted to see price come down here and reverse trend by breaking our what. So I have a new video on market structure, everybody. So please, if you have not watched that market structure video, I put a lot of time into it for you guys. Honestly, I was working on it all day yesterday for you guys because I had to figure out how to use the editing software and everything. Because as you can see, I got me a new computer for you guys. I told you it was coming. And so I had to work all these new things because I'm not the most tech savvy guy. So I had to work out all these new OBS and all these little editing softwares. They're all new to me, so I'm still working on it. But it ultimately took me a whole day to edit that thing and to get the whole video out. But I did put a lot of info in it, and I did really try to break it down for you guys. And if y'all don't understand everything that's in that video, drop a comment, drop a question down below, and I will be dropping more videos on these things because I know it takes more than once. But even though it takes more than once, you can keep watching that video over and over. But I will have more videos explaining these things and breaking them down even further on. Okay, so give me a second real quick to actually get this live going. And I hope everybody, if y'all traded today, I hope y'all made money. Did y'all make any money trading today? Let me know. Stay with me, my good people. Stay with me. Okay. So what did I want to see? I wanted to see price come up. And look, this is where I know where my tools. I got my tools. So I wanted to see price come up, create this upswing before ultimately giving us a breakdown and breaking down, right? What did price do? Price actually didn't really give us anything. It just straight opened and just kept tanking. And what ultimately happened? This is why knowing your levels are very important, okay? Because what did it do? It tanked straight to this level. And just so you can see how I had this level and I didn't just place it after this reaction, let me pull back out into my daily time frame again, just so I could show you how I had this level already marked. And you can see it in my post, but I just want to show you ultimately again, and then why I have this level marked, right? Okay. Golly, man. So, let me zoom out real quick. So, you can see I have this level marked. Why? Because this is the area where buyers broke price up. So that's why you always mark out the areas, because they're not they're not guaranteed to give you these reversals or give you a reaction, but ultimately they will come to those levels, and they honestly, every level should give you some type of reaction. Even if it doesn't change character and give a change of trend, you will still see some type of reaction because this is ultimately where orders are at. So when we drop to this level, I'm pretty sure in the 5 minute or 1 minute, even though it doesn't look like it through this straight candle down, I'm pretty sure we had some type of buyer reaction, right? Through this level, I'm pretty sure we had some little type of buyer reaction, but ultimately the sellers were stronger, right? And then ultimately this level, what happened? We had a buyer reaction, a big one actually. And we could see how it went from 482 all the way up to 522 or 523. Excuse me. But there's also one more thing that actually caused that. So we mark out these levels because that's where we potentially could have that bounce at or have these reactions off of. But ultimately, this level didn't just cause all this. This was a very key level in the market because we are down. We are ultimately down 21.5%. Okay, so you see how we're down 21.5%. This is just that. Well, this is the S&P. The Nasdaq is down, I'm pretty sure, almost 30%, right? So that is huge, like crash, recession territory, bear market territory. Okay, but that is ultimately why these levels, if we get any type of good news at these levels down here, you will see a serious reaction like we did, right? So we came down to this level right here, right? Before getting, let me come back down to it. Zoomed out too much. Not gonna zoom in. Okay, we came down to this level. We came down to this level before getting this huge reaction. Okay, and so what caused that reaction? A mix of between that level, because we would have had a reaction regardless at that level, right? Like we always do. Like we had previous levels before. Obviously they're deleted, but I'm pretty sure this was a level. I'm pretty sure this was a level right here, right? And so we did have this level right here, got this huge reaction. But ultimately, what also caused that? Okay, well, let's go over here. And this is where we don't, well, me, myself, I don't get big into politics. I don't really choose a side, or if I'm Trump or him or whatever, Obama, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, we got to understand the politics. Why? Because these politics can help us get an understanding of where our money's going to go. All right. So if we hear Trump saying, I'm slapping 100% tariffs tomorrow, we can most likely know that the market's going to drop. So when we wake up in the morning, we're not surprised and trying to go in for heavy calls whenever we have bad news. You know what I'm saying? So we just ultimately want to know what's happening in the politics and the market news, because ultimately that's what moves our money and moves the markets. Okay. And so I'm about to bring you to what actually helped this level give this huge reaction, and then ultimately why we had this huge sell-off again, right? Because we had this $40 jump from jump from 482 all the way up to 522. There was literally option prices as I was looking at them. And keep in mind, I actually seen this move late. Why? Because I was actually trying to upload that video in the morning. I was still working on the video, and I had some bugs. It didn't want to upload, and so I was really messing with that the whole time. I was still looking at the market, but I was ultimately looking at these levels, right? I mean, I was still looking at the market, but ultimately I was trying to get that video out for you guys because I was working so hard on it, and so I wanted to make sure to get it out for you guys. So let's look at where we had that caused this huge move up $40, and then why the move ultimately got wiped from $40. $40 of price action up, and then so it went to 522, and then came back down from 522 to 494. So if you had a call in this move, if you had any type of call in this move, you got absolutely paid. If you had any type of put, in this move, you got absolutely paid. And literally, as I was looking at the move right here, so I actually did see price react off of this. I mean, I actually did see price come and start to get to these levels, but I didn't expect, because we had this 482 to 496, but I didn't expect this huge other $20 move up. Why? Because I actually didn't see the news at the time, and I actually found out the news actually a little late. Okay, but ultimately, I wasn't really dialed in into the market today as much as I usually am. Okay, but so let's go over what actually helped cause this reaction. So we come over here, and so we actually had right here, we had false news.
Attention super markup shoppers. It's about time we paid everyday low prices, like at Aldi. Not increasingly high prices for potatoes. And these sales that aren't really sales. We're getting hustle, people. Hey, buddy, that loyalty card? Useless. Because at Aldi, you don't need one to get a good deal. Here at Aldi, they don't play pricing games. You just walk in and save. That's why they're #1 in everyday low prices.
Everything we don't do is for you. It's an Aldi thing.
That is ultimately.
Before we get to our great friend, Charles. Stock markets do affect middle America, a lot more than you may think. 60% of stock ownership, actually it's 58%, owned by individuals through IRA, 401ks, pension funds, and so forth. In the late 1980s, it was only 32%. So it's jumped from 32 to 58%. It's a big move. So when we get these stock market corrections, just saying, working folks in middle America are not immune. Anyway, America is really invested in the market. I'm invested in great. Go ahead, Charles Payne, host of Making Money right here on Fabulous Fox Business, who has given us some time. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate it. I mean, you know, I heard some administration people say, don't worry about the stock market. It's not important. It is important. I mean,
it's important. There's no doubt about it. I'm like the Pied Piper. I spent my whole life trying to get people to invest in the stock market, regular folks.
Yes.
I will say, though, that if two things. The amount of money retail investors have put into this market on the way down is amazing. Outside of Friday, late selling on Friday, they put in like records amount of money. So they're buying the dip. They've learned over the years that markets come back. So the notion of scaring them that the market must go up every single day or we're all going to fall off a cliff, I think they're over that. It's been hedge funds who have been short this market. And really, the stock market has risen in terms of importance, but if the stock market was more important, let's say, than price of gasoline or food, we would have President Harris right now, not President Trump. So there's still things that Main Street America on the ground still care about more than the stock market, particularly short term.
It's not a full bear yet. I mean, we've lived through full bears, 20%. My calculation, 15% from the peaks of mid-February on the Dow, 18% S&P. And even if it is a bear markets, you hate to see it, but they come and go.
They come and go. The last one was that March 2020 was amazing, right? It was the fastest in history and the shortest in history. And you know, we didn't have anything, right? As it was coming back, every day people were like, how can the market be coming back? We don't have anything. You know, everyone's going to die. We're shutting down the global economy. And the market knew or sensed that something was going to happen long before it did. So I'm not sure about a V shape, but today I'm telling you, I tell people this is your best down 11 points on the S&P, because those futures this morning, when futures opened, it was crazy. And I don't. It's easy to feel calm about this, but a lot of people said crash. A lot of folks are predicting a crash at the open this morning, particularly after some of those global markets opened, and we fended that off so far today. Today, I mean, you know, I think that was pretty impressive.
There's a lot we don't know. We don't know whether stocks will come back. They might. President's going to be negotiating with a whole bunch of countries to fix the unfair tariff problem. I see reputable economists talking about a recession that hasn't happened, an inflation that hasn't happened, a stagflation that hasn't happened. I used to be in that business. There are a lot of things in life that haven't happened yet, Charles. We don't know that. Maybe we ought to all keep our powder dry.
Or just say that, you know what, ultimately we think we'll do the right thing and take advantage of this weekness. But in terms of the assumptions, if I were to assume, I would assume slower economy and that the Fed gets involved. And it's based on history. I heard you and Art talking. I want to say one thing. I know that traditional, or the old school Republican, you never use tariffs, you never do this. There's a lot of things you never really do.
Those tariffs, okay.
Ronald Reagan, those semiconductor tariffs that he had on Japan, they lasted 5 years.
We used voluntary restraint agreements. That's what those were in
5 years.
I'm not opposed to tariff diplomacy.
And by the way, our market share was less than 10%. They went to 20%, and small semiconductor companies came to life like Intel, which went on to dominate. So, I know he hated using them, but he did use them.
Well, maybe they all hate. Maybe Mr. Trump is right. This is the one time. It's a once historical thing for him to do. Look, his mission is right, and his use of tariff. We have to stop the unfair trading, and I trust him with tariff diplomacy. I do trust him with that. I can't wait for him to start working some magic on it.
Listen, the magic starts with that announcement that angered a lot of folks, a lot of purists, and I'm not saying, defending the methodology behind using the trade deficit, but what I will say, it reminds me of the first Trump 1.0. When he came into office the first time, he used the Moab, the mother of all bombs, the biggest, largest, most powerful non-nuclear bomb ever used in the history of mankind. No other president would dare use anything like that. He said, drop it on ice, and bam, the ultimate bunker blaster. These, I think, this using this trade deficit is sort of an economic Moab. And so some people see it as heavy-handed, but he's gotten everyone's attention.
You got our attention.
He's got, and it's not going to linger. This thing is not going to linger like if you start at 15 and 20 and we meet you in Brussels and then maybe we'll meet in Paris 3 months. No. Let's cut to the chase. This is like cut to the chase. Let's cut a deal or live with these crazy draconian numbers.
How about if we cut taxes on the other side also? Huh? I never had any problem with that. Economic Moab. I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
Charles Payne is the best of the best. You can catch Charles making money weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern right here on Fabulous Fox Business. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, Larry.
Going on, and based on what did we see price doing the previous day, but we don't really take that bias going into the next day, right? We have it in our head, but we don't just go in, okay, my bias is bullish, my bias is bullish, my bias is bullish. I'm just gonna buy a call, because ultimately, what do we got to do? We got to see reactions off of these levels, and we got to see confirmation. Okay. So what I can see, okay, so let me mark this red because this is area of resistance. I could see price, if price breaks this area of resistance. Why? Because we can see we have a range on this support of 495 to 509, and we are currently in the middle of this 504. So I can see if price comes up and starts an uptrend and comes up here, I can see a reaction down, a change of character. So let me draw something out like that. I could see price try to trend up before hitting this and giving our breaker block formation and a change of character for ultimately either coming back down and kind of just getting another reaction, then kind of just ranging back on in the day until tomorrow. Or we could see price or ultimately, what can we see price do? Maybe price can hit something, hit this area of resistance. Then if we get some, well, we already know the bad news is coming, but I feel like maybe we might have just a little bit of relief because the market is dumped so heavy. We could have just a little bit of relief for tomorrow and just squeeze these short traders out, which that's what this was, ultimately just squeezing, knocking all these sellers out, just stomping sellers out, right? So ultimately I could see us giving a little relief before Wednesday just to have a little pause in the heavy sell-off. But if not, price could react off of this resistance and then ultimately keep breaking through and ultimately testing these areas of support again, right? And so, oh man, so I can either see that, or maybe we could start the market tomorrow, right, and just start the downtrend. We can get a reaction off of our support, maybe change trend and try to give a little up. Maybe we can downtrend and just, I don't really see a continuation downtrend tomorrow. I'm just being honest. I don't really, dang, what's happening? I honestly don't see a continuation downtrend of tomorrow because, like I said, already heavy sell-off, and so the market could give a little relief, but we don't really know. So we're just creating these little, if price does this, I'm gonna do this. That's what we do, okay? We react to price. If price does this, I will do this. if price does that, I would do this. Okay, so we just react off of price. We react off of price. We don't try to jump ahead of price. We don't try to force the market to do something, because ultimately the market is going to do what the market is going to do. Okay, and so to be on the right side of the trade, you just always want to just see what price does, and you want to react off of that. Okay, if price wants to break and hit my area of resistance and break through it and come down and test my resistance, I'm gonna get in for a call, right? But if I see price hit my resistance, give me a change of character. Let me draw it out. If I see price break through my resistance, give me a pullback, test my resistance. Oh my goodness, man. If I see, again, if I see price break my resistance, come down and test it, and ultimately give me an uptrend, I'm in for a call, right? Because we're just gonna follow what price wants to do, right? But ultimately, we're gonna scout. We are not gonna get in for waiting for a $20 call move, because this was the exception. Because why? We know that all that news, right? So I'm not trying to hop in, because I already know there's heavy seller pressure right now. So I'm not trying to I'm not trying to get another $20 home run. I'm just gonna ride price till I see struggle, right? So if I get my break through my resistance, I see a trend, and I see price breaking up, and it breaks my swing, and I got in at this resistance, it broke my swing, I'm gonna take profits. I'm not gonna wait for price to give me a heavy sell-off. I'm gonna take my profits, right? Because I'm already knowing what we're in. Because ultimately, what do we have right here? This is where we have another area of resistance. Okay, so y'all see why I marked this out, because we have 1 hit, 2 hits, and 3 hits. So we can see this is where price is defending. This is the area of resistance now, right? So look, I can see that testing resistance and maybe trying to push up, but it's ultimately, I don't see price breaking no 523. That is a lot of price action, and so we could see if price does that, or maybe we could see price react off the resistance before ultimately reversing trend and creating downtrend. And I could see price ranging between the 509 and 495 area, right? But that is ultimately why we're gonna want to follow our trends, because 495 to a 509 range, that is plenty of money to be made. That is about $15 of price action. So we can make some money in that $15 of price action, okay? And so I don't really have much to say for this live. I'm just kind of going over what I can see for tomorrow. I didn't have a trade, so I don't really have to tell you what I did here or what I did there or why I got in. But ultimately, just marking out my levels, showing y'all what I'm looking at going into tomorrow. And I hope everybody who's in here, y'all watch the video I came out with, my new video that I came out with, because I ultimately did work really hard to try to get that out for you guys. And it has a lot of info on just the basics of the market. So whenever I talk about these uptrends and breakup structures and change of characters and even fair value gaps and order blocks, you will ultimately know what I'm talking about. And whenever I'm talking about higher highs and higher lows, you already know what these are. You already know what they are. You see what I'm saying? So this was a pretty quick stream. Let's see if we have any. Let's see if we have any news coming out tomorrow. Any economic news coming out tomorrow, because that is ultimately very important. So what do we see? We don't have too much going on tomorrow. Not too much. We don't have nothing going on tomorrow. Well, Fed daily speech, actually. I'm not sure what that's about. The Fed kept the federal rates unchanged at expectations. Okay, it's just telling us about what the Fed is doing. Excuse me. Just telling us about the Fed, what the Fed was doing. We already know Feds are not cutting rates. Oh, and one big thing I actually have to tell y'all, because I remember in one of my last live streams, I had told y'all that we had 4.2% job unemployment, and our forecast was 4.1. Okay, and so I thought 4.2 meant that we had higher unemployment. Actually, that meant we had lower unemployment. That sounds kind of weird, right? So let me actually come all the way up to our unemployment rates. See if I can find that. It's not gonna show me the last week. So yeah, I know we had 4.2 unemployment rates, and I said that that was bad because we had higher unemployment, but actually we had actually stronger jobs than expected. So I guess they were forecasting 4.1, and so we actually had 4.2, which I guess means higher, more jobs than expected. That we had less layoffs than expected. So that means even during these tariffs and everything, we still had good jobs. So that is actually a pretty good thing, because remember, more jobs that we have, more money as an economy we have, and more money as economy we have, more money to put into the markets, right? And so I think that is pretty much it for the day. That's pretty much all I have. We can go over this. I want to go over this real quick with you guys. The power of knowing these levels is unreal, okay? And I've told y'all this time and time again, because ultimately we mark out these levels because we can have a potential reaction. And what did we do? We had this potential reaction, right? We didn't really have a trend starting. It kind of just shot up, right? And this is, I guess, this is our retracement. This is a retracement. If you watch my video, this is a retracement. I do not have 3 candles, and ultimately it didn't pull back to an area of demand, right? Well, yeah, it didn't pull back to an area of demand. This is even a retracement. It did actually test this support. It broke past this support and gave a little retracement, testing it for just breaking up, another retracement, because this is not 3 candles. We had a little pause in price, and price shot up out the water. And actually while I was watching these candles, because remember I actually seen it. I seen it when it broke through here, but I didn't think this was gonna happen. Then when I looked back at it, I seen these candles jumping up, and ultimately I wanted to see a retracement. And honestly, we got one right here, a pullback right here. But this thing was just so freaking strong, and so I did see it, and ultimately I was on the Robinhood, and I seen options were literally going from $400 to $800 to $1,200. They were literally 100 times. They were literally 100 times, 200 times, 300 times the money. So that was pretty insane. And then on the put side, the same thing, literally 100 times, 200 times, 300 times, even 400 times of money. And so I didn't get in the level, but ultimately I was not mad or anything. Why? Because ultimately I kept my money in my pocket, right? I didn't lose no money. I didn't make no money on the markets, but guess what? We're gonna show up tomorrow, right? We're gonna be here tomorrow, and we're gonna make money tomorrow. I'm most likely gonna trade tomorrow, but guess what? We are not gonna force a trade. We're gonna look for a good entry. We're gonna look for our strategy. We're gonna see if price reacts off of these supports, reacts off our resistance, changes trends, or gives me breaker structures, so I know where price is trending to, and ultimately I will hop in and I will write it for my quick scalp and get my profits, right? But remember, we don't force a trade. So let me read this real quick for y'all. The power of knowing these levels is unreal. $40 of price action is insane, which if you're in the markets, you know we don't see $40 of price action much, and that is only on times like this where you're really gonna see that, where we have a heavy sell-off, and if we get some good news, we will see something like that. So ultimately, when these tariffs do get worked, I keep saying tariffs, when these tariffs do get worked out, we will start to see these moves, okay? So as we are seeing these heavy sell-offs, let me cut on my daily real quick. As we are seeing these heavy sell-offs and how much we are down, and how much we are down, ultimately when these tariffs get worked out and Trump says all the tariffs are lifted, or we reached a deal with all these countries and we're all in a good space or whatever, you will start to see this. You will start to see stuff like this. Like I'm telling you, huge moves up because of how fast we dumped and how far down we are from highs. You will start to see some big price action days, okay? So remember, guys, we don't have to force a trade if we don't see a trade. Every day the market is open, Monday through Friday, okay? So don't force a trade. Don't FOMO in, which is fear of missing out. Follow your disciplines and make sure you are following your disciplines, and make sure you get in where you feel comfortable, and make sure you are studying so you know what you are looking for, okay? And if you still don't know what you are looking for, please go watch my new video on market structure. And if you have any questions, please drop them down below, and so I can know how to explain better, ultimately what I need to explain better, and what videos I need to come out with more to teach y'all. I have some video ideas on what I need to give y'all and teach y'all, but ultimately please drop your questions below if you have any about these rules, okay? And so that is basically what I said, is the market is open Monday through Friday, and there's plenty of money to be made. So don't FOMO, follow your disciplines, and the results will follow, okay? And so y'all already know, man, you see what I'm saying? I'm still trying to get used to this OBS stuff, man. Okay, so y'all know the deal. I gotta get me a little drink on stream. Okay, so I will be back tomorrow. Remember, we are coming for these daily recaps, and if I don't trade, I will still show up to ultimately show you guys what I'm looking at going into the next day, why we got the reaction. I don't know to the T why we get these reactions, right? But we have our levels marked out, and I can show you, well, we came down to an area of support. That's why we had a reaction. Oh, okay, we got good news. That's why we got this reaction. But I can't just say whatever I say, and that's for any YouTuber, anybody you watch. We have these levels, and we see the news, so that's the reason why price jumped up. But you don't ultimately just know to the T why price does what it, you know what I'm saying? It's not just the God's honest word, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why we just mark out these levels. We look at the market news, we look at the politic news, not because, well, for me, not because I ultimately care about what's really, politics, but ultimately I care about what they're doing with my money, and I want to know what is going on in the market so I can capitalize off of it, right? So that's ultimately all we do. And so I will show it for you guys tomorrow. I will be here tomorrow. I will be here daily streams on these trade recaps. And remember, trading is risky. Make sure to follow your disciplines, rules. Make sure you study so you know what you're looking at. And make sure you have risk management, because just as fast as you can make money, that's just as fast as you can lose money, okay, guys? So remember, stay persistent.